Welcome to the Dragon Ball Access Podcast with Smugstick and Dragon Ball University.
Hello, I'm Josh from Dragon Ball University.
And I'm Luis from Smugstick, and today on the podcast we will be discussing Dragon Ball Super versus Dragon Ball GT.
Yay! Let's have them fight.
To the death.
I guess I'll start off with a question for you then, and it might seem like a fairly obvious one. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer GT or Super?
It's a really tough question. I was talking about this to somebody on the Kansenshu forums the other day, actually. It's a tough topic to talk about since it's so divisive in the fandom.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think Super has more good things about it objectively than GT does. But I don't know, there's something about GT that I like, just maybe a tiny bit more than Super.
I like, well, I mean, it got way better towards the end of Super, but I think it's really hard. It'd be hard to disagree with GT having better animation consistently than Super does, which is crazy because it was years and years before.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know much about animation, so I don't know if it's good, but the character models are definitely more consistent than they are in Super.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Their proportions stay pretty similar. Honestly, more than even Z did. Z was not really good about that, especially the transition from Dragon Ball to Z. Like when you think about the fact that Goku, when we first meet him, is older than Gohan when he beat Cell, but Gohan's like 5 feet tall and ripped in most shots. And then every now and again, like when they need him to feel like a little kid, like, cut a foot off him so we feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's really strange, that whole how things work in there, but it's not always exact in GT either. Like Goku's skin color, it's drastically different than it is in the previous series.
Yes, much so. And he's very shiny in Super. Everybody's very shiny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in GT, there's something about the colors in specific compared to everything else. I think I love the colors. That's one thing I will give Super is the colors. They're the colors in Super are really popping, as in comparison to GT, where everything's like a gloomy blue. And
even in the happiest of moments too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some of the best parts of GT, I'm like, ugh, I'm just sad.
Yeah. Like the whole first arc, which is probably the most lighthearted one out of all of them, where they're hunting down for the Dragon Balls, which is ironic since the world's gonna blow up. It's so gloomy and ugly.
And I do like that arc, to be honest. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of GT, as most people would probably know. I really haven't even mentioned it on my channel. Although, to be fair, it took me a long time to really start getting into Super on that as well. But there are some aspects of GT that I really like, but to me, Super, and maybe it's the smaller time jump, but Super feels a lot more like an actual continuation to Dragon Ball Z to me than GT did. GT, even when there wasn't anything to compare it to, GT just seemed to lose something when it left Z. It's like, all right, let's keep some of these characters, but I don't know. It just... I enjoyed the early portion, but then it just got a little silly.
I have to agree with you, honestly. I do think it's probably the smaller time jump, and since we see more of the characters too, because in GT, we go from the Tenkaichi Budokai, where Goku leaves with Oob, and we see all the characters reunited, and everybody's older and stuff, and it's really nice. But then in GT, we don't see half of them for forever. We don't see Krillin until the like glimpses in the 17 arc. We barely see Goten.
And he's so old and sad. I really I thought they gave Krillin a lot more and better screen time in Super than they did in GT, for sure.
Yeah, and
GT, he's just a mustachioed dad, and that was it.
Yeah, for some reason, I think GT had something with mustachio dads, because they did the same thing to Vegeta.
Admittedly, too, one of the things that one thing I like but really hate its execution with GT is Super Saiyan 4. for a really long time, I honestly just couldn't stand the name because it looked so different from Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3 that it felt like it should have had something different, like some kind of a Super Ozaru, Super Great Ape form name, something like that. But then after years and years of thinking about Dragon Ball and wanting it to come back before Super came back, it did get me to watch GT a little bit more just to kind of scratch the itch. Like, all right, maybe if I can get into that, then it'll be just something. And I always liked the design of Super Saiyan 4, hated the name of Super Saiyan 4 until I stopped to think about the fact that Goku named all of them. Like, the only thing that makes Super Saiyan 3 is the fact that Goku was like, Super Saiyan 3. That was really all that did it. So yeah. I hated it a little less then.
Pretty much. Super Saiyans, at least the mainline Super Saiyans, are just variations of the first one when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I see a lot of them as kind of the same form, just
exactly,
just different.
That's why
it's all the same
Super Saiyan 4
chain.
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and oddly enough, even Blue still fits the Super Saiyan aspect better to me than 4 does. Now, that being said, I like the look of 4, although there is one thing that always drives me insane. It will never not drive me insane, especially in video games, and that's their damn shirt disappearing when they transform and reappearing when they go back. And it makes it so much worse when you're playing like Budokai 3, for example, and suddenly Goku's pants turn from orange to yellow when he goes Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta's pants turn into leather, and then they go back to normal when they power down. I absolutely hate that. So, like, more so than my body can't handle the power level of Super Saiyan 4 because I'm a little kid, so it's gonna force itself through puberty and turn me into this, like, even that I can wrap my head around more than the fact that your goddamn shirt disappears and reappears. I'm used to Goku's shirt disappearing. I accept that. I accept his shirt's going to disappear eventually in every fight. But for it to reappear, no. I'm out.
Yeah, no.
And Blue doesn't do that.
Does that happen? Like, because Goku turns Super Saiyan 4 in the Shadow Dragon arc, and he gets his shirt back, right?
Yeah, and if you want to get really technical, he gets his pants back the first time he does it because he goes Golden Great Ape first.
Yeah.
And then he, like, shrinks down, Pan looks at him and is like, Grandpa, I'm sad. And he's like, aw. And then he turns into Super Saiyan 4 and his pants reappear.
That's so funny.
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want naked Goku, but I don't... What do I want more? Do I want to see naked Super Saiyan 4 Goku fighting, or do I want to see his pants reappear? And the answer is naked. I will take naked.
Damn.
Honestly, he's probably got a lot of fur down there, so I think we're okay. If I had to assume, Super Saiyan 4 without pants is just hair.
Yeah, probably.
I hope, though, that it's not like how their abs and their pecs aren't covered in hair. I can just imagine, like, his ass being that way.
Oh my god.
He's just fully covered in fur, except he has, like, a bare butt, like a baboon, and then a tail coming out of it. All right, somebody get on this. I need some drawings, please, for a friend. Asking for a friend.
Research.
Research purposes. Gotta do lots of that around here.
But there's another question. Which do you prefer? Do you like Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan 4 better?
Definitely God and Blue.
Really?
I like 4, but again, it doesn't fit the same way for me. And even casting aside the numbered aspect of it, they're a little bit more simple. Now, that being said, I'm not the biggest fan of Super Saiyan God, but I think that personally for me was more missed opportunity than just the look and the design. Like, I kind of like how the eyes look and how he gets a little more slender when he turns into the God form. But when I saw Battle of Gods for the first time and then heard that Super was coming, what I was really kind of hoping for was that Super Saiyan God was going to be almost a true form of Kaioken. I mean, especially when you consider that Kaioken I'm assuming loosely translate to the art of the gods. So I was kind of assuming that was where Super was going, and ultimately it did. It went with Goku learning more godlike forms and even blending the Kaioken with it. But when I first saw Super Saiyan God, I was like, maybe this is like perfected Kaioken, and that's why his hair is red and all that stuff. And then it didn't happen, and I don't know. But ultimately, it's Blue that I do like more, especially once it got the nickname Blue, because Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, I mean, I remember laughing when I heard about this movie Battle of Gods and that Goku was going to get a new form called Super Saiyan God. I was like, that's a mouthful, isn't it? And then they upped the ante with Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. So in name, it's kind of silly, and maybe a lot of it too. I just like blue. So like not even the form blue. I like the color blue. So maybe it's just more lizard braining me a little bit, and I'm like, ooh, just pretty.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, my only real complaint, I guess, if you even want to call it that, with blue, is that it really is just Super Saiyan with a color bucket dump in Photoshop. But I don't know. I do prefer it, and I think a lot of it too is just I really didn't like GT. Like, and I grew up just like we talked about the last time, where I get all these rumors and things like that because everything that I knew was through horrible dial-up internet stuff back 15 years ago. So everything I knew about the future of Dragon Ball was wrong, basically. And I was really looking forward to GT when all I had seen was screenshots and clips. Like, I remember the first time I saw Bald Hercule and was really kind of laughing about that. But GT just found a way to disappoint me. And I think a lot of it, too, not even just the show, but the first thing I ever watched of GT all the way through was the dub. And we can talk all day about music when it comes to, like, Dragon Ball Z. Like, I think we could dedicate an entire episode to the Falconer score versus the Japanese score. But I don't think anybody can say with confidence that the dub GT score is better than the sub version, because
Yikes.
My God, that is just, for as much as I hated Falconer's music that never stopped, GT was 64 or 69 episodes, depending on the version you watched, of the same background music over and over and over. And I hated it. Just every single episode is just doon, 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 doon. Oh, okay, something's going to happen. Doon, 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 doon. And I'm shuddering just thinking about it.
Yeah, no, the music was a point that I wanted to bring up, because it's really weird, because when the first time I watched GT, was Super Saiyan for Gogeta versus Omega Shenron for some reason on TV late at night, but the second time I watched GT was on a bootleg DVD with a bunch of GT episodes from the Baby Saga, I want to say.
Okay.
In Spanish, but for some reason there was this piece of music in the middle. It was the eye catch, the transition between the commercials and the actual show, and in the original Japanese, it's Trunks fixing the car or getting on it and stuff. It's whatever. But in English, it's Goku throwing a Kamehameha with the song that goes dun 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 dun. And that's the eye catch I got for some reason, even though everything else was the Japanese score.
That's honestly very strange.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing, but for some reason that one piece of music from the English soundtrack is the one thing I actually like from English GT, but everything else is atrocious to me.
Well, if you like that, watch the dub sometime, because that's all you're going to hear for the entire show. That's literally it. Is just, oh man. And then the English lyrics to the opening song with "Step into the Grand Tour." Just no.
It's
no. I mean, and there was stuff that I like. Really, when it boils down to it, the battles and the animation were what I liked about GT. And people might dislike. Honestly, I don't know how people feel about this, but one thing that kind of always has not really made me upset, but just irritated me only a little bit, but just enough. I never understood the color swap with Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Like, that never really made sense to me. Like, why do two black hair, red furred Super Saiyan 4s fuse into a red haired, black furred, or rather brown furred Super Saiyan? It just, I don't know. Like, people might hate that I have that opinion, but that just always seemed silly to me.
Yeah, I've never thought about it. Now that you bring it up,
I never understood the point. And maybe some of it too is that I've never seen a legitimate canon base form Gogeta, or rather a legitimate canon Gogeta at all. Maybe this December, but we'll see. But so maybe part of me was just like, I just want to see a black-haired Gogeta once. Is that too much to ask? And I don't know. I mean, I really think at the end of the day, it is because of the simple fact that Gogeta isn't technically canon at the moment, but I've always preferred Vegito anyway.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
And he was different. Like, he wasn't the same Gogeta in GT. Even though he was the same character with the same outfit color, like, they were not the same. As much as people want to say he smiles at the end of Fusion Reborn, he wasn't as goofy as he was in GT.
He was more similar to Veku, if anything.
Yeah, honestly. And even Vegito, like, Vegito didn't take himself too seriously, but even Vegito, when he was fighting Boo, was just a little bit more serious than, like, Gogeta in GT was downright goofy. And I know if you're overpowered, you know what it reminded me of was Gotenks fighting Boo.
Yeah.
That he just, I'm so much more powerful than you that I'm going to let immaturity lose this fight.
Yeah. The thing that Vegeta says afterwards, where he's like, "Oh, Kakarot, it was your side that did that." But Goku doesn't act like that either. It was like over the top.
It really was like, yeah, and he did. He tried to blame him for the way that they were and all that, and I don't know. Plus, I mean, a lot of it, like, one of the things that I truly like the most about Vegito is that it's Vegeta and Kakarot, and not Vegeta and Goku, which is what Gogeta would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I like that Vegito brings the Saiyan side out of Goku when they fuse. But again, that's a little off topic from GT.
Yeah,
Just stating things that irritated me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's another question to ask about Super versus GT. Okay, which villains are better? Let's not count Battle Gods and Resurrection F, because that's a little unfair.
Okay.
But everybody else.
I mean, comparing Beerus to anybody, Beerus wins. He's just awesome. And then Frieza's Frieza. So from beyond that, I mean, really, there's really, when you really think about it, there's only one major villain after them. Like, I don't, because I consider Jiren an antagonist, but not a villain. A lot of them, they're competing to save their own universe. And I gotta be honest too, I like Zamasu and Black. I'm not in love with them by any means, but I like that arc more than I feel most people do. But really the only villains I honestly like from GT would be Baby and Super Android 17. So I to be honest, I'd almost give them a tie. For me personally, I'd almost tie the villains of GT with the villains of Super. Because beyond Frieza and Beerus, who arguably aren't just Super... I mean, Beerus isn't really a villain. He's doing his job. And you could almost argue Frieza's not a villain by the end of the series. Mm-hmm. But I do like Black, but I don't think Black stands against the entire series of GT, but I've never cared for Omega Shenron, even a little bit. And Super 17, I liked the idea of him more than I liked the execution. I think there's something about Super 17 that's just unsettling for me to look at. I don't know if it's his hair, his height. I really like Android 17. Oh my god, he doesn't. He's like Super Saiyan 3 androids. Ugh. Yeah, there's just something about him. Like, have you seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure / Bogus Journey?
Yes.
Do you remember Station?
Yes. Those
two little aliens that become the big alien? That's what Super 17 reminds me of. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, but I really enjoyed the idea of them being two halves of a whole, that the original 17 and then Dr. Mew's 17 could fuse together. Although, one part of that even drives me nuts is, where the hell are all of Dr. Mew's other androids? Like, you only created one android and he just happens to be number 17 and he just happens to look exactly like R17 but with a trench coat. So, yeah, I guess, the more I talk about it, the more Baby's becoming the only villain I actually like.
Yeah,
and even he has a stupid name, so it's hard to... I guess I don't love any villain in GT. Because I like Baby in both concept and execution, but his name is dumb. I don't feel like, anytime I talk to somebody who's not that familiar with Dragon Ball and I tell them I'm playing as Super Baby, they laugh. And they are right to laugh because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree. As far as the villains go, I don't know. There's nothing that stands out from the first arc, except for maybe the Para brothers, but that's because of the wrong reasons.
Oh, papa. Oh, papa.
Yeah, exactly. Baby, I love. He's always been one of my favorite villains, and I do think he's top 10. I don't know if I put him above or below Black and Samas, but he's up there with them at least. Super 17, I'm not a big fan of. I think, I don't know, but comparing the versions of 17 and Super and 17 and GT, there's something just that feels wrong to me at Hurnley about 17 being evil or a bad guy in GT. It's just
and that was
so
it. Like they brought back even our version as a bad guy, and he wasn't. Like, especially if you like paid attention at the end of Z, he's there. Like with Launch and every other character that Toriyama forgot about, they all help Goku get energy for the Spirit Bomb. And by the way, I loved what Android 17 did at the end of Z. Like not having any bioenergy to give himself to Goku, but going around and sticking people up. That's one of the most adorable moments in all of DBZ for me.
It was so good. That's actually one of my favorite things. Well, in the manga, in the anime, they actually show Launch, but in the do they show Launch in the manga too? I
gotta be honest, I do not remember.
Me neither.
I'm currently recollecting the manga. I have all of Dragon Ball, but I'm just getting to the Frieza saga in Z.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while since I've read them.
Yeah. Well, all I know is that 17 was actually supposed to be Launch in the manga, and Toriyama made a last minute change and turned it into 17. That's why the line doesn't make sense when 17's speaking it. Because he says, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've heard your voice, Goku. But 17's never heard Goku's voice.
No, they never met.
Yeah.
Wow. Like Goku showed up on the battlefield. Maybe in episode length, probably like 6-7 episodes after he was absorbed. But really, Goku arrived on the scene minutes after 17 was absorbed, and then they never saw him again until Super.
Yeah.
Huh. The more you know. Do 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 do.
And finally, I think honestly that the Shadow Dragons bring down the enemies on GT so much that I would be willing to give the point to
everybody
to
but Sin, Nova, and Ice are garbage.
I don't even like Sin. Even Ice and Nova, I'm kind of about.
I don't like Sin. I just respect him because he becomes Omega. Like, he is a threat more so than like that fat purple mole rat. I don't even remember or care. I literally just unlocked him in Dokkan Battle the other day and didn't even care to read his name when it popped up. I don't remember. I called him Mole Rat when I unlocked him, and I don't remember or care.
Yeah, no, me neither. They're so they're just nothing. They're nothing characters. The only one I remember besides those three that we mentioned is Oceanus, because that was a lady that turned into an ugly thing.
Oh, yes. She kind of reminded me of Princess Snake.
Yeah, me
Only
too.
a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
It was there. Now, so how about, what do you consider, between GT and Super, which do you consider to have more missed opportunities from what you wanted to see from Z?
Super. Absolutely Super.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I had less expectations for GT, or because, I don't know, Super is just, they had so much build up for so many of these things, and just dropped the ball, in my opinion. Like, the Tournament of Power arc had so much build up, they could have done so much with it, but they didn't do much with it. Besides a few key moments here and there, like Kefla was dope. And the Universe 6 Saiyans are cool, but I don't know. They could have done so much more with an expanded universe.
For me, I think, and I can't even go into the number of examples really off the top of my head, but I think Super dropped the ball more often. But for me personally, GT had one single much bigger ball drop, and the only thing worse, I just said ball drop, and now I'm about to say blue balls, so here's a lot of ball talk on Dragon Ball Access. So I think that Super dropped the ball more times, but what GT did that to this day upsets me just so much is GT Super completely underutilized Goten and Trunks. Like, completely. People want to talk about how Gohan was underutilized. Where the hell is Gotenks? Like, Gotenks is one of the strongest fighters you've got. He's a little entertaining, hilarious kid. But one thing that GT had was an adult Goten and Trunks. All I wanted for that whole series just one time was to see Gotenks as a grown-up. And not only did I not get that, but we got teased with that.
God, that line.
Oh my God. When Goten and Trunks turned like, how about we try some fusion? I'm like, huh? Oh my God, yes, please. And then, they didn't do it. Like, don't mention it at all. If you're going to go that route, just don't say it. Just ignore that forget that you know how to fuse. And that's more forgiving than for you to be like, hey, audience, want to see grown-up Gotenks? Too bad.
It's awful. They teased us with a lot of fusions in GT at that very end, actually, now that I think about it, because Oob also wants to fuse with, like, Gohan, I think?
Yeah.
It's just, it's
and I guess
awful.
technically he did with Boo, but that was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's another thing that I think was awful in GT was Oob. Oob was used horribly. The only good thing that he did was fuse with Boo, which was a really good moment and amazing performances all around there. And when he bursts out of Ozaru Baby, that part was cool. But besides that, he does nothing, and he's the reincarnation of Kid Boo. You could have,
and
done
he's
so
the
much
end
more.
of Z. Like, you ended Z with Goku being like, "Bye, family. I'm gonna take him and train him, and no, I don't care about any of you." Like, if you're gonna do that, make him worth it, not just no. I liked his design as Majub, like that he kind of got Boo's outfit but kept Oob's body, but I don't know. And then what's up in Super with Boo getting ripped and then disappearing? Like, I don't know. Just they had things they could have done.
Man, I'm never gonna forgive them for teasing us with Boo being in 2 tournaments and dropping out of both of them.
Both times. Like, what is Boo doing? He's another one. Like, the amount of care. It's just Super focused way too heavily on Goku and Vegeta.
And
it's not that I don't like Goku and Vegeta.
People like to call GT the Goku show, or Goku time GT, but like
Dragon Ball Goku time. I like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like even Super did it more than GT did.
Yeah. The one thing that I will give that Super did is Goku loses a lot more than he ever really did. I mean, to be fair, he lost a lot all around. Even when he won, he lost a lot. Like, I don't know. I'm just sad now. I'm sad at missed opportunities.
Yeah, no, me too. I don't know. This is a downer all around.
I know. I'm sad now. I'm gonna end this one early today. Not really. Now, I guess, well, not so much a question, but just more an observation. I think it applies more to the movies and GT as a whole, like everything that wasn't considered canon before Super showed up. But have you noticed that Super almost like seems to take steps that are middle fingers to the movies in GT?
In
I mean,
what sense?
Broly's going to kind of change that. Well, one of the biggest ones, at least for GT, was, and something I honestly kind of liked, that GT started with Pilaf coming back, which was kind of awesome. But Pilaf, Shu, and Mai were old, as they should have been, and Super made them young, thus making it impossible for them to ever reach that age. Like, it was really almost like that was the linchpin that's like, yeah, GT can't occur after Super, unless they did some kind of a wish to be old again, and it made them old again.
I mean, but what they did is that they got their wish that they wanted in GT to be young again, except instead of screwing over Goku, they screwed over themselves.
Yeah. I guess some of the other ones, though, they apply more to movies than anything, but like, I couldn't help but notice early on, like when Super Saiyan Blue showed up, I took that as their way of erasing Broly's blue-haired base form. I mean, I guess it's a little more purple than blue. And then Cooler, like, oh, Cooler arrives and has a fifth form. Nah, Frieza has a fifth form now, and it has nothing to do with Coolers. And then Dragon Ball Heroes was like, let's mix them both together. I was happy to see Cooler in that, and I mean, I know Heroes is just fan service. I know that, and it's an entertaining watch when you just sit back and enjoy it as nothing more than a dose of fan service. But Cooler arriving on the scene and just being like, my brother can do it, I can do it too, was one of the dumbest things I've seen in recent Dragon Ball.
Man, that's another thing we need to talk about at some point is Dragon Ball Heroes. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Cumber.
Jesus.
Stupid ass ripped Raditz with a straight jacket.
So, we cover pretty much point by point what we think about each one, but what is the worst thing about each one for you?
The worst thing about each one. All of GT. No, not really. I think all in all with GT, just that even when it tried to be fun, it wasn't. Like the general tone and dreariness of all of it made even the most fun parts. Like the start of the story is Goku's a kid again, and he's adventuring with a grown-up Trunks and his granddaughter. And that was super fun. They're going on a let's find the Dragon Balls, but the whole purpose, like you said earlier, was just to stop the planet from blowing up. Like, even the most fun part wasn't all that fun. With Super, honestly, this isn't really a horrible thing, but probably the recaps for me, I guess. I'd rather have one or the other. Like, Toriyama recapped Battle of Gods and Resurrection F within Super because he didn't want to go on faith that everybody watched both of those movies before Super started. But ultimately what that did to me was it made it... I mean, I've been obsessed with Dragon Ball for 20 years, and it took me a long time to get into Super because when it started, I was like, oh, I got to watch a slower Battle of Gods and Resurrection F? No, thanks. And I tuned out for a long time. And I have since gone back and watched them, and I still like Battle of Gods, the movie, more than Battle of Gods, the saga, but I like Resurrection F's saga more than I like Resurrection F's movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the fact that it recapped the movies and it took someone who's a huge Dragon Ball fan like myself and made me uninterested for a while. And yeah, I'd say that would be what I disliked the most. What about you?
Yeah,
dislikes
for me,
of Super and GT.
For me, I think for Super, honestly, I would have to agree with you. It being the recaps but for the sake of not being repetitive, I'll say that the worst thing for me that Super did was probably just how badly handled the Tournament of Power was, with characters acting out of character. Sorry for bringing this up, but power levels all over the place.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It was
yeah, it was a real mess. Characters randomly popping up that we didn't know existed and getting more development than most of the cast that we've known forever has in all of Super. Like the one dude that fights Gohan and has a family, and it's they tried to do a lot, and there was a lot of cool moments, but I don't think they did it right. And as far as GT goes, I think the absolute worst is probably the 2 episodes where Goku is stuck in the what's it called, on the game board, Sugaruku's game board with the Tanuki. Oh my god. Those are the worst episodes in all of Dragon Ball.
I blocked that
ever.
Traumatic memory from my brain, and you just brought it back up. So now I'm extra sad, and I think it's going to be time. I got to go reflect on my life. I think this is a good time to wrap up episode 3.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, now I don't want to think about stuff. Why did we pick this? It's just ruined the pacing for everything. But yeah, so let us know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? Between GT Super, favorite moments, least favorite moments, which one do you think is better? Which one do you think is worse? Are they tied? Biggest missed opportunities? Let us know what you think, because we want to know. Or at least I do. I think Luis does.
I do too. But that's everything we have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Smugstick with Dragon Ball University, and be sure to check out our other podcast episodes.
Yeah, we're up to this. This makes 3 now. We'll be back next Sunday at noon with episode 4. We'll see what it's about. You'll have to like and subscribe and stuff.
Yeah, until we meet again.
See you, folks.